driver, Carrington, gets dumped by Benami. The leaders are winding up here. Daytona, the big one is out. Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the 2022 Midwest Sim Racing Association's Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals. Today, we're going to the Virtual Auto Club Speedway, where it's going to be another fantastic race with some of the best drivers in these Xfinity cars. As always, my name is James East, bringing the action 1080p 60 frames a second as qualifying starting to wind down to an end. And we get ready to send our drivers out on track. It'll be interesting to see what happens here at the 2-mile raceway, as last week at Daytona was nothing but a barn burner. As it looks like it's going to be Jeffrey Meyer starting on pole, David Santini starting second. But let's do you the due justice and run this through the grid here tonight, getting all these drivers out on track. Again, it's Jeffrey Meyer starting on pole, David Santini starting second, Matt Knight starting third, Julio Villalobos starting fourth, Bobby Harmon starting fifth, Billy Fitzgerald to sixth in the grid. Brent Wall starting seventh. Rick Webb starts eighth. Evan Longacre starting ninth. Scott Stevens will be 10th on the grid here today. And then we've got Mike Howerton starting 11th. Kenny Meadows starting 12th. Cycling the grid back to Robert Norfleet starting 13th. Ken MacArthur starting 14th. Robert Anderson will be 15th on the grid. Robert Cook starting 16th. Bobby Baber starting 17th. Timothy Davis starting 18th. Braxton Dewey starting 19th, Derek Whitford starting 20th, Matt White starting 21st, Matthew Dyer 22nd on the grid. You've got Kyle Mullering starting 23rd, John Binder starting 24th here today. And then to round out the field, it's going to be Chris Hansen starting 25th, Diego Villalobos starting 26th, and Richard Malugani starting 27th. Let's get ready to send these drivers out as we wait for a couple more drivers to make their way out onto the grid for this 100-lap feature event. Now, we do have a stage caution on lap 35 here today. We wait for a couple more drivers to get out on track. Looks like we're waiting on Jeffrey Meyer, Evan Longacre, and 22nd place back, who has not gridded up yet. Meyer makes his way out on the track, and it looks like we're good to start things off. I'm showing about 6 drivers who have yet to grid. Not sure if maybe that's a limitation of the software maybe going on here. This shows Matt White, Matthew Dyer, Kyle Munger, and yeah, pretty much everybody 21st place back has yet to grid up. Matthew Dyer is making his way out of the grid. Again, it'll be very interesting. Last week at Daytona Super Speedway, it's about a little bit of luck and a whole lot of talent that goes into bringing it home and just surviving the end of a Super Speedway race. Now tonight at Auto Club, things could definitely be a little bit different, more technical. And it'll be interesting to see how these very talented drivers are able to make their way around the 2-mile, very fast raceway here in California. Here we go, green for the MSRA Rapid Fire National Series. It's Meyer and Santini side by side in the front row, but looks like Meyer gets a very strong launch to the inside line. Santini's going to try and work the outside groove, and Matt Knight is in the fray as well. Number 25 machine, he's going to be side by side with Philip Bobos. As Knight now finds himself slotted in fourth in this Toyota Camry. Oh, Meyer stepping out the back end. Able to save it in that number 50 machine. He's going to drop way back towards the bottom. But further behind will not be the case. I believe that was Braxton DeWeese having a big moment as well. But that'll be our first caution of the night, as the field having to check up to avoid any carnage there. That will be our first caution of the night. Can't imagine we'll have anybody come down pit road, but that's what happens. You get in the second race of the year, something a little bit different than Super Speedway. Drivers coming out with relatively fresh tires and trying to put that power down, and next thing you know, you can see you sliding around here. Bringing them line back up for our first attempt of a restart this evening. It'll be Meyer and Santini on the front row once more. Villalobos and Knight, your second row. Fitzgerald and Harmon, your third row. As we wait for that iRacing pace car to make its way down and signal we're about to get things going once more. Hopefully drivers have worked out the jitters a little bit, but as we know, cautions breed cautions, meaning it's more likely for these drivers to stack things up when they get the field back together. No real tire wear to speak of as of yet, as we send them back out. Meyer with a massive launch to the inside line. You can see the 45 of Villalobos trying to catch back up as quick as he can. Field trying to work themselves out, get out there as quick as possible. What they're going to try and do right now is try to get some sort of groove. They have about maybe 10-15 laps to really push hard on these tires before the times and the grip starts to fall off ever so slightly, and then you might see some more single file action. Now I know in the next gen cars that high line's been pretty dominant, pretty easy on tires. It'll be interesting to see how things go in these Xfinity cars. Arguably some of the most fun on a big track. Tons of horsepower to let that back end step out as it shows Villalobos having to drop way down the line. He's now 14th in the 43 machine. Oh, excuse me, that's Diego Villalobos. All right, Julio's still up there in the 45. He's running third. Run about 6/10 behind Santini, behind Villalobos. It's Julio on the 45. You've got Knight, Fitzgerald, Harmon, Wall, all in the mix here. As Meyer and Santini have really linked up at the front. And two different lines these drivers are taking. Meyer going way down the inside line, Santini running a little bit higher line. Not sure if they're trying to carry more momentum or maybe just save some tires. Everybody's taking it relatively easy right now. We're going to pull up the stands on the left side of your screen to see where your favorite driver is. As up front, it's Meyer and Santini just clicking off laps, both running right around the low 41-second lap times. Just clicking off laps, go a little bit further back. You got Brent Wall in the mix of things, the number 6 machine. He's just behind Fitzgerald, and he's got last week's winner, Longacre, right behind him with the 95 machine. Evan in the primarily white with red numbers Chevrolet Camaro, looking for a way, and very interesting to see just how many moves there are for drivers to run at Auto Club. Inside, outside, middle drivers making it happen. have been corrected as well from one of our drivers. The stage will be at lap 40 tonight at Auto Club. Keep an eye for that out. A chance to stack the field up 40% tonight's race, as we are watching a very heated battle from 5th place back to about 10. Brent Wall leading this pack in the number 6 machine. He's chased by Knight, Deweese, Longacre, Fitzgerald, Stevens, Norfleet, all the way back to about 14th place. You've got a lot of drivers jockeying for position. Up front, it's still Meyer and Santini clicking it off, making the lead. They're almost a full second ahead of Julio Villalobos in the 45 Toyota, as well as Bobby Harmon. So it's the field getting a little bit stretched out there at the front. And then from 5th place back is all the action as we pan to Matt Knight. He's got Billy Fitzgerald making a big run up, and Scott Stevens in that mix as well. And no single file racing as of yet for these drivers as you watch Fitzgerald dive up the inside next to Stevens. Well, looks like he's going to make it happen in that Chevrolet. But Stevens doing his best to hold a higher line, trying to take the throttle just a little bit longer, carry that momentum. As it looks like Fitzgerald does get nice and clear from that 55 machine. Now Knight and Fitzgerald side by side. Coming out of turn 2. What is Stevens going to have to say? The 55 machine is they're going to go very briefly 3 wide. Matt White will now be the driver sitting far up the inside line. Digging deep, only 15 laps in. As they're still battling hard for position. Matt White trying to put pressure on Scott Stevens. Looking to the inside line, even try oval. Stevens had it at the line, but White crosses the nose of that 22. Just ever so slightly going to turn 1. And he will get the spot as we go a little bit further up. A fairly heated battle for 3rd. Villalobos, Harmon, Wall all in the mix here. Harmon putting the pressure on Villalobos in the 45 Toyota. Looks like Harmon may have it here at the line, but we'll see what happens in the turn 1 as Brett Wall also trying to join the party in that number 6 machine. Almost a little bit of contact there as they go too wide, too deep in the battle for 3rd. Harmon gonna hold on to it in the 73 machine as Brent Wall sends it in deep. Auto Club pretty bouncy in a couple of the corner entries, so you have to be careful here not to get those cars too unsettled, especially when you're running side by side, hitting speeds. I believe Santini may have the highest speed of the race so far with 199 miles an hour trap speed. And we're going to go 3 wide once more. Harmon, Deweese, Wall all in the mix here. And Deweese will come out on top of that little brief stint. Now up 16 positions in the number 8. Chevrolet running 1st through 4th. Brent Wall, our fastest forward on track. He's running 5th. And Matt Knight will lead a a few Toyotas running 7th through 9th. Luis will stretch his legs ahead of Brent Wall. Behind Wall is still Longacre, Harmon, White, and Knight in a very close cluster here. Longacre sends it up the inside line, trying to work his way against Braxton Deweese, the number 6 machine. Excuse me, no, that's going to be Brent Wall, the number 6 Ford Mustang. Deweese is almost 3/4 of a second ahead here. We are halfway till the first stage caution, the only stage caution we'll have today. Now, the more these guys battle, the happier Braxton Deweese will be the number 8 machine, because he's riding around almost 9/10 ahead of this battle for 4th. Meanwhile, your race leader, Jeffrey Meyer, still linked up with David Santini. Those two are about 3 seconds ahead of Deweese at this point. As all these drivers, that's going to be 4th, a big link there, 4th through 8th, all within about a half a second of each other. Oh, Brent Wall, though, having some connection issues. That may allow Matt White to take over the spot here, as well as Evan Longacre, number 95 machine. He'll slot up into 5th. Man, look at this. Braxton Deweese, Matt White. Deweese up 16 spots, White up 17 spots from where they qualified. Very impressed with how hard these drivers are pushing this evening. As Longacre will have a chance to breathe, as Wall has fallen about a half second behind that 95 machine. Meanwhile, Harmon and Knight still digging deep to try and work their way a little bit closer up to the stands before we get to this stage break. The Wall with those bad blinks has to be careful. If he reappears in front of the number 25 of Knight or the 73 of Harmon, it can very quickly spell disaster. Watch Wall, Knight, and Harmon really duking it out here. We're going to go a little bit further back to Kenny Meadows in the 96 machine. He's got, that would be Robert Anderson on the high line next to him in the 47 machine. And just ahead is Matthew Dyer and Robert Norfleet. great racing all across the track in this 100-lap main event of the evening. Go a little bit further back as well. John Binder, Ken MacArthur, Ken Webb, and Colby Baber in a heated battle. There's about 4 great battles all across the track here as the field getting a little bit spread out. Trying to find their groove. Like Binder backs off the pace, not sure what's going on there. As these 4 drivers still trying to find where they're going to get sorted in at. Binder looks a little bit unsettled. Here comes the number 10 machine and catches Binder in the quarter panel. And just like that, Binder gets sent to orbit and ejected. That was Colby Baber involved in that one. And that will bring out our second caution of the evening. That was John Binder getting tagged hard in the wall. Colby Baber, getting to the quarter panel. Now, to be fair, I'm not sure if the 33 machine came down or if the 10 went up. That'll be up for race control to decide. But that will throw a caution into the mix just about 10 laps before our planned stage break. As it does appear most drivers coming down pit road. I don't believe anybody's going to stay out here. As Meyer and Santini get ready to get their service, get right back out there. So now it looks like it's going to be either White. I believe it's going to be Matt White showing as your race leader here behind the pace car. Braxton DeWeese, Robert Norfleet, Kenny Meadows, and Timothy Davis. Now, I don't believe these drivers came down pit road. I would imagine they're thinking, you know what, we can go 10 more laps, maintain some track position before the stage in and do all right here. So a very cool and interesting call to maybe get the most amount of points they can out of the stage. So I believe it's going to be about an 8-lap shootout until the stage caution. And away they go. Matt White out front. Gonna try and hold on to it. A little bit older set of tires. Just about everybody came down pit road, opted for tires in that stop. Except for now, your top 3 drivers. Jeffrey Meyer, though, cutting through the field in that number 50 machine. Now we watch Meyer try and put some pressure on your fleet police who are running nose to tail. Meyer making it happen on the inside line. Now Meyer and Santini going back and forth. Santini also came in on lap 29. Both Santini and Meyer on the same set of tires as they try and catch up to Matt White, your race leader. White trying to hold on for 6 more laps, but it's looking like it's going to be a tough go of it, as those fresh tires behind him are really putting in work. Santini makes the pass for the lead, as well as Jeffrey Meyer able to do so. White now sitting 3rd. Let's see what Santini and Meyer are going to do up front as they're side by side. Meyer working the outside, inside line. Santini holds on to it in the outside line. As Meyer now falls back about 6 tenths behind Santini. Now at this point, with Meyer seeing Santini start to extend that gap, Is he going to maybe take it easy to save some tires, knowing the stage will be ending shortly? As Longacre and Wall battling hard for the third place spot. Wall looking up the inside line. What's he going to do going to turns 3 and 4 here? Longacre still side by side. Longacre had maybe a quarter of a car length there, but Wall keeps diving it in deep in turns 3 and turn 1 to try and make that move stick, but Longacre trying to carry a little bit more momentum on the high line. Right behind these two is Matt Knight. Looks like Knight can't decide which driver ahead of him he's going to pick up the draft from. Are we going to see Wall hop up in front of Longacre? We will do. But Longacre has a massive run. He'll go to the inside. And they are diving deep here. Longacre has by about 0.05 of a second advantage over Wall. And now it'll be Wall working the outside groove. Matt Knight has joined the party in the battle for third. Up front in Santini, he's got about a half second over Meyer. As we get ready for the caution to come out on lap 40. Now, historically, the caution doesn't come out until the top 10 drivers have crossed the line. The leaders cross, and it looks like we're going to end the stage in a spectacular fashion. Great racing amongst these guys. With David Santini picking up the win. And we will begin our stage break here tonight at Auto Club. Be very brief. Caution. And the official results for this stage break will be David Santini first, Jeffrey Meyer second, Brent Wall third, Matt Knight fourth, Evan Longacre fifth, Bobby Harmon sixth, Matt Dyer seventh, Robert Cook eighth, Kyle Mullering ninth, and Robert Anderson will round out the top 10 for the stage. as the field comes down pit road under caution. Santini, let's see if he takes tires here or just fuel. Now, he took tires on his last stop. Looks like they're going to have the Jackman ready. Yep, lifting up the side of the car, putting the tires on. Left side will get the same, so he's going to take 4 tires here and have 10-lap fresher rubber on the front of that 79 machine, front and rear of the 79. Getting ready to roll him back up behind our iRacing pace car. Only driver I see on alternative strategy is Kyle Mullring in the number 84 machine. He's currently 10th on track. He's showing as either a 2-tire stop or only fuel. He was in his stall for 8 seconds while everybody in front of him full pit stop about 14 to 15 seconds depending on how quick they were on pit road. So once again, it's Meyer and Santini on the front row, Wall and Knight your second row, Dyer, Harmon your third row. And no more planned cautions for the evening. And now let's see what these drivers can do with a proper fuel run. Here we go once more. As the sun starts to set in beautiful California, David Santini with a great launch. Jeffrey Meyer running second. And then it looks like that's going to be Knight and Dyer going side by side in the battle for third. Watching Matt Knight and Bobby Harmon duke it out ever so slightly. Harmon gaining some steam as well as Brett Wall, who is securely now in third. And back up front to Santini, holding about a half-second margin over Meyer. Meyer a half-second over Wall. And if we go back to Evan Longacre, that is where the party is from sixth place back. As you've got a lot of drivers in a couple seconds. Really, most of the field running single file here as we get ready to cross the halfway mark of today's main event. Longacre has caught up tonight. Now less than 2 tenths separating these two drivers. Villalobos also trying to follow the 95 machine as well. Early into this run with the caution. And somebody else I'd like to talk about, Kyle Mollering, who had that short pit stop, still holding on to ninth. He's actually gained one spot, despite, we think, holding on to a little bit older tires. So it looks like the strategy working out well for him, and that way he's going to have a set behind the wall saved for later if need be. Look at this, things are getting quite heated up. Matt White now running 8th, Braxton Louise 9th, Matt Knight, we 10th. And jog around and look back up front as well. Meyer has started to catch back up to Santini in the battle for lead. These two drivers still have Brent Wall about a half-second behind them. But just great racing all across the track here tonight. Now, if Santini and Meyer can work nose to tail, they may be able to keep Wall out of striking distance. But both these drivers know if they start battling too hard, that's going to allow Wall to catch up and make it a 3-car rodeo. But Meyer doesn't quite care. He goes deep into turns 3 and 4 to get right on the bumper of Santini coming through the tri-oval. And still, these drivers are actually able to gain some ground over Meyer. In a very heated battle for the lead. Let's see if Meyer can do it again. He's been driving in deep into 1 and 3, working that inside groove. And quite the heated battle for the lead. Santini and Meyer really going at it here. Both drivers within 0.05 of a second at the finish line. And man, oh man, these guys will just not get off each other. They're diving in super deep here. A little bit further back, another great battle. Braxton Deweese, Robert Cook battling hard for 6. Right behind them is White and Ullring. And a massive frenzy here as we can see somebody get launched. That's Villalobos in the 45 machine. He holds on to it somehow, some way. Spectacular save there. As it looks like Deweese will have a little bit of breathing room as now Cook is about 4/10 behind him. Going back up front, Meyer and Santini still going at it with over 40 laps left to go. Very briefly shows Myers your race lead, less than 1/10 of a second ahead of Santini. Santini still has the drive on the outside line. These two drivers are absolutely duking it out here, so let's see. Myers going to work the inside groove once more into his number 50 machine. Santini into 79. Looks like Santini gets a little bit loose there, right at the maximum amount of slip angle he can carry out of that 79 machine. And he's able to carry just a slight more bit of momentum on the outside line. Very interesting to see the two different lines come into play, but it looks like Meyer's going to have a bigger run here. Will Santini be able to answer? He's showing just side by side. Though Santini's staying with Meyer, but having to work extremely hard to do so. As you see the different line choices come into play, this time by it's going to be Meyer at the line by 0.05 of a second. And I understand how good the racing is 61 laps in. As now Meyer will get about a half-second comfortable gap over Santini. Going a little bit further back in the field, Longacre and DeWeese battling hard for 5th. Longacre in the 95, DeWeese in the 8th. Right at a 10th behind Longacre. As now we're at the point of the run, 21 laps in, the tires will fall off ever so slightly out of these Xfinity-backed race cars. As it's still Longacre, DeWeese, Matt White running about 6/10 behind these two. Going to be interesting to see if Longacre and DeWeese can catch up to Brent Wall. He's 4/10 ahead if DeWeese is going to pass Longacre on the inside line. Will he be able to make it stick here? It looks like it's going to be close. How much of a run is Longacre going to carry down the back stretch? A fairly comfortable one. Number 2 of Matthew Dyer joining him. I believe Dyer's a lap down here if my eyes don't deceive me. So he is not quite in the battle. Timothy Davis has problems and it looks like he disconnects. And that will bring out another caution for these drivers to maybe throw a bit of a wrench. I'm expecting to see some drivers come down pit road, and if they have tires remaining, go ahead and take them to get back out there in what will be a final about 30 lap sprint, I believe. Jeffrey Meyer in and out relatively quickly. 14.6 second stop Bobby Harmon with 15:08, about 4/10 slower than the crew of the number 50 machine. And Santini will be third on track with a 15.63 second stop, so almost a full second slower once he was into his pit stall than Jeffrey Meyer's crew. So let's see what happens here and what could be the final restart. Now, cautions breed cautions. You get drivers that are used to a fairly tight race car, all things considered. Now they're coming out with sticker tires, so it'll be interesting to see how they handle the suddenly looser and freer conditions out of these machines. Again, I can't stress enough to our viewers at home just how much of a handful these cars can be for these drivers. Here we go on lap 69. Mid-pack is going to get exciting. We know Meyer, Santini, Harmon, Wall, Longa, your top five are very familiar as we're going side by side. It looks like 3 wide early on with Robert Anderson on the high line there, getting passed by Stevens, Baber, and Howerton. But this is gonna be hairy. Baber trying to work on Stevens. Stevens trying to work on Howerton as they go side by side once more. Here comes the 48 of White. As it just ahead, it's 3 wide action once more. Everybody bumping around, trying to find a groove, who they're going to settle in with, as they know there's not many more laps in this main event to make it happen. Baber driving in deep on the outside line. Anderson goes high. White trying to look for that middle groove as well. Ever so close here, Baber and White. This track lending itself well to some 3-wide shenanigans. Looks like the 47 machine of Anderson gets slightly loose as he's pulling up next to Baber. Oh, and contact between the two. Around goes Anderson, careening around, and that will unfortunately bring out the the third caution of the night, not counting our stage caution. going to shake things up a little bit. Drivers that were maybe planning on a long green flag run will have that cut short. As it'll be about a 25-24 lap final shootout to the end here at Auto Club. It'll once again be Santini and Meyer on the front row, Harmon and Wall your second row, Longacre and DeWeese your third row. All these drivers looking good to make it till the end here. Here we go once more with 26 laps left to go, 25 as they cross the line. Santini will once again be out front, Meyer second, Harmon third. No, it's going to be Brent Wall trying to slide up with the number 6 machine, working the outside groove against the 73 of Harmon. Meanwhile, you got Longacre, the 95 machine, working the bottom line. We're going to go 3 wide once more. As Longacre tries to find out where he's going to go. This may allow Santini and Meyer to check out. It's going to be tough to say what'll happen up front. As behind Brent Wall, a flurry of drivers. It's Wall third, Harmon fourth, Norfleet running fifth. But really from about third and ninth place, anybody's guess what's going to happen here. As we pan back to Braxton DeWeese, the number 8 machine, he's side by side with Longacre, but trying to catch back up. That's going to be Norfleet, the 98 machine. tonight. So they are fully prepared to run this thing all the way out to the end. If we don't have any more cautions, they will be good to go on fuel. We've got action going on up front. Meyer has caught back up to Santini, now less than a quarter of a second separating these two drivers. Well, what's going to happen? These guys have been racing hard and very clean. I can't stress that enough all race long. Less than 2/10 separating your race leader from Meyer, the number 50. And from third place back, another heated battle as well, but we're waiting to see what Santini and Meyer can do. Two drivers that have been on very different lines all race long, which has bode well to some great racing. Meanwhile, behind me, you see drivers squirming all across the racetrack. That's going to be just behind Norfleet. It's Braxton Deweese, Kevin Meadows, Evan Longacre, Kyle Mulring all in the mix here, as well as Robert Cook, who's running 9th on the track. And we're side by side for the race lead. Meyer still working the bottom group. Santini on the high line trying to keep that momentum. We've seen Meyer make this happen before, but it took him 4 or 5 laps to do so. As the rest of the field follows suit. Again, two very different drives through the corners. Meyer all the way down low. Santini running a high line almost 3/4 of the way up the racetrack. Right now it shows Santini ahead by about 0.08 of a second. Meyer hops back in the draft with the number 79 machine to try it again. Almost wonder if he's measuring up Santini right now. It seems like he fell back slightly, then he's about 3/10 behind your race leader. Handing it back to Wall and Deweese, still linked up nose to tail. They're too wide, just about 3 rows deep. That's Wall, Deweese, Norfleet, Meadows, Longacre, all in the mix here. All battling hard for that final podium position ahead of them. The race leaders has extended their gap to about 1 second. And climbing as these drivers are so busy battling for third. Wall slide up the inside line of Deweese. Really leaning on each other here. As up front, Meyer still measuring Santini lap after lap. With the massive battle from third to 9th really heating up. Norfleet trying a different line behind these two. as they're not really pulling too much of a gap ahead of the guys behind Braxton DeWeese and Brant Wall battling for third. If anything, they're losing more time to the race leaders as now it's 1.3 seconds between second place Jeffrey Meyer and Braxton DeWeese running third, but you got to give DeWeese credit where credit is due. He's up 16 spots tonight. Oh, what's this up front? Meyer and Santini still side by side again. It was a very comfortable 0.3 of a gap, but all of out of nowhere, Meyer closed that gap. As it is a very fierce battle all across the track. I mean, we are 85 laps in. You can see how just still close together the field is. Meyer trying it once more the inside line. Will he get clear of Santini here? Showing Santini by about 0.03 of a second at the line, but I think this is where Meyer's car really starts to come in. 20 laps or so into the run, and that number 50 machine is on fire here today. Fairly certain Meyer may get clear down the backstretch, but no. Santini has the momentum pressed against that wall. Side by side into turns 3 and 4. But going through these corners, Meyer able to pull over 0.1 of a second on Santini. Now for what could be the first time tonight, we're going to see what Meyer can do out front with some clean air if Santini is not able to answer very quickly here. Santini right on the back bumper of Meyer. As it looks like Meyer able to extend his gap to up to 1/4 of a second, but Santini staying in that draft. Not letting it get much bigger than 0.15 of a second and getting down to less than 1/10 by the time they're going into turns 1 and 2. And now lap traffic will have a stay in the race as well. Let's see how quickly Meyer and Santini can get around. Lap traffic hopping down the groove. That may have been Diego Villalobos. Hopping out of the way. The race leaders not wanting to get tied up in a race that could cost some of these front runners. And we go back to the battle for 4th. Ooh, look at this. 3 wide once more. It's Cook, Meadows, Norfleet all in the mix. This is allowing Longacre in 3rd to extend his gap. And now Cook, like he's going to move up to 4th, now up 12 positions. Not sure what happened to DeWeese. He's all the way back to 11th. Must have had some sort of contact to cause that number 8 machine to drop down the standings. And we're going to see if Meadows can put the pressure back on Cook. Up front, Meyer's extended his gap to about 0.7 over Santini. Ten laps left to go at the MSRA Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals. So now it's Kenny Meadows running fourth just ahead of Cook. Cook still has pressure from Norfleet as the top five all but decided. Now Meyer, Santini, Longacre running 1, 2, 3, slightly stretched out here. So hopefully we can keep this thing green all the way to the end. As we're going to check back in on your race leader, Jeffrey Meyer, 2 full seconds ahead of Santini. The laps quickly clicking off here. The battle for fifth, all but decided. Right now is Norfleet fifth, Cook sixth, and Howerton has joined the fray in seventh. These three drivers have about a 2-second advantage over Brent Wall, who's running eighth. We watch to see if Cook is going to pressure Norfleet once more. They've gotten about a half-second gap over Howerton. And Kyle Mullering has some sort of issue as well. He's showing involved in an incident, but off the track. Four laps left to go. Now Meadows and Norfleet are catching up to Longacre. They're within a half-second of that number 95. Should gain about 2/10 per lap. So going to be interesting. This may be a 3-car shootout for third by the time this is all said and done. And yes, they are very quickly closing the gap to Longacre, who may be tied up with traffic. No, that's Kenny Meadows who's joined the fray as well. But Norfleet and Cook trying to catch up to Meadows. Meadows battling with Longacre for the final podium position. It'll be 3 laps this time by. One of the closest battles on track, and it will be for podium contention. Meyer running first, Santini second, Longacre third, Meadows fourth, Norfleet fifth. Longacre has company. Here comes Meadows trying to make something happen with 2 laps left to go for the final podium contention. Longacre's going to hold on tooth and nail. But will it be enough as your race leaders get ready to take the white flag? The podium still not decided as the white flag comes out. Meyer still up front, Santini second. As we watch the battle for third in the final lap, Kevin Longacre trying to fend off Kenny Meadows. Meadows dives in deep on the inside line. Looks like Longacre not quite able to hold on to it. He falls 2/10 behind. Meadows throws the block on the backstretch. And now it's going to be Longacre's turn to try and send it in deep into turns 3 and 4. The white flag is out. This is for the final podium spot. Looks like Meadows carrying just a little bit more speed through 3 and 4, but it's going to be interesting to see how this shapes up in the line. Your race leader, Jeffrey Meyer, takes the checkered. Santini takes second. And it's going to be Kenny Meadows rounding out the podium here today for the 2022 Midwest Sim Racing Association's Rapid Fire National Series. And Jeffrey Meyer is going to burn it down here in style at Auto Club. A fantastic win out of the number 50 machine. A very well-deserved win for Jeffrey Meyer. We're going to switch it over to the interview team to talk to your top 3 drivers, but thank you all so much for tuning in, supporting the broadcast, and I will see you back same time next week.
All right, hey guys, here we go. We'll start with our post-race interviews. We're interviewing top 3, and we're going to start with the third-place finisher, Kenny Meadows. He was the championship. He won the championship in the league last year. Kenny, how does it feel? How was the race feeling this time? How was the car feeling on the track during this race?
It was a lot of fun. I mean, the track was great. The competitors were great. And the rapid fire pizza I got on my last pit stop was great.
Well, hey, you know, at the last race at Daytona, you and your whole team there at DeMede, you guys went a bit of a different strategy. You guys went in early on that first pit stop to avoid any wrecks or anything happened on the track. Did you have anything different or any kind of special strategy you had on this race tonight?
No, my goal was just to stay near the top 5 until the end and then go. And then try to make sure I had an extra set of tires if I needed it later.
So, Kenny, we got some more tracks coming up in the next few weeks. What's your strategy going forward for the next couple weeks?
Stay near top 5, get a win somewhere in there, and just good, solid, consistent finishes, you know, to the end of the year.
Good deal, guys. There you have it from our champion last year for the Rapid Fire Pizza League, Kenny Meadows, representing DeMede Racing. Let's move on. Our second finisher tonight is David Santini. David, you were with the Old School Ninjas, man. Appreciate the sponsorship. How was the track feeling for you with the setup tonight?
Yeah, no, thanks a lot. It felt good. We came in here not totally knowing what we were going to have. It worked out for us. We had great cars. Setup was good. Started getting a little tight, so we had to loosen it up a little bit. And then Jeffrey had a lot of speed there late run. So I knew that I was going to have to make some moves on him early there, and I did. But too many laps there to hang on at the end. He just had a better car and a lot of speed, so congrats to him. First league win, that's awesome. Yeah, and thanks to Rapid Fire Pizza, too, of course.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, you were up front the whole night. What kind of stuff were you guys doing this week, working hard for the setups that you were running tonight?
Yeah, no, it was nice being able to be up front the whole race. I know a lot of these guys had some good racing they were talking about, but it's always better to just be up front and clean air. We actually worked off a set me and Evan had done last year, and we just kind of tweaked a little bit to match the weather and track changes and such. And it, like I said, it worked out pretty well. Wasn't quite enough, but still can't complain about second place.
All right, and what do you guys got going for next week? What's your strategy going into next week's race?
Pretty much the same thing. Just everybody get on, work together here, and see if we can get as many of us in the top 10. If not, I mean, your goal is always, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many you have on your team. But, I mean, if you can keep getting top 10s and top 5s and be consistent, it really helps with the momentum going forward.
All right, David. Hey, last question for you tonight, and I know you're closely affiliated there with one of our sponsors, Old School Ninja. How about you let everybody listen and know a little bit about Old School Ninjas?
Yeah, so Old School Ninjas is pretty much just a group of guys that we have a Discord now. I mean, it goes all the way back from the Halo days when we played Halo on Xbox, but it's pretty much just a group of us. Gaming, playing all kinds of games, different games, just more or less hanging out and just having a good time. Anybody that would be interested in joining our Discord, hit me up and we can get you set up in there.
Awesome, thanks, David, man, and congratulations on the second place. And I might take you up on that invite to play some Halo with you on Discord.
Yeah, let me know. Right now we're playing a lot of Apex. They're playing Lost Ark, all kinds of different games. But pretty much anything you want to play, somebody will be up for playing it. So, yeah, get at me and I'll get you the link.
Awesome, man. For me and everybody else in the league, we really appreciate the sponsorship you guys are giving to the league. Helps us all, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. No, we appreciate all you guys coming out each and every week, too, and racing. It's a good turnout this week, too. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, to all of you watching the broadcast, not sure if anybody's heard it yet or realizes it yet, but this is Jeffrey Meyer's first win here in the MSRA Rapid Fire Pizza League, and we are going right now to interview our winner. Jeffrey, how does it feel to get your first win here in the league?
It is about damn time.
Yeah, I think that's the general sentiment. It's like every single week. I know I raced last year some in the league. This year, every week, just like Evan said earlier, we see your car in the top 5, in and out of the top 5 every week. You've always got a fast car, and I was shocked to hear this was your first win, man. Your car is always fast, and so it really feels like it's paid off for you. What was your strategy tonight going into the race?
Don't let David Santini beat me again.
Well, that's definitely how you won. He came in second, right behind you. What kind of things were you guys working on this week as you were preparing, practicing, working on your set as a team? Like, what kind of stuff was going on?
I just took the set. I spent a lot of time the last few years. Spent all week building sets, just to compete in this league, and it was really time consuming. So this year I'm getting my sets from EPI, Elite Performance Industries, and I got Nick Ottinger building them. So I made a tire pressure adjustment and a track bar adjustment to this set, and it was just on rails.
Well, there you go, folks, an unexpected commercial for Elite Performance Industries. If you want to grab Jeffrey's set that he just won with, head over to their website, and you'll be able to grab it. So, Jeff, hey, looking at next week, what are your thoughts on the track next week and the race next week, and what do you have planned?
Next week is one of my best tracks, Vegas. I love it, but I don't think I'm going to make it because I'm going to be running Road to Pro next week, so I will miss pretty much every other week until Road to Pro is over.
Well, man, I'm sorry to hear that. Otherwise, most of the other drivers listening are probably glad to hear that. That's one more car going to be out of the top 5, and that's where you always seem to be. And is there anything else you want to say to to people listening on the broadcast? Anything you want to let them know?
Just woo-hoo! Finally, it feels good. And David, it was great fun racing with you all night. You're a great competitor. We raced clean, and it was really fun racing with you until I drove away from you. So, but I gotta thank Ottinger, EPI. We put up great sets every week, so it's finally got me to my win.
Yeah, Jeff, the set may be great, but I tell you what, it's always the driver behind the wheel that makes it happen, and you made it happen tonight. Hey, for Mike Howerton, all the rest of us here at the MSRA Rapid Fire Pizza League, we just want you to support our sponsors, Rapid Fire Pizza, Old School Ninjas. We appreciate you being with us for the broadcast tonight, and we will see you guys all in the next race.